Joining me now is Carol Roth. She's the author of the book, You Better Have Already Bought The War on Small Business. If you want to understand what is happening right now and why it's happening, this is an instruction manual. Go get it. Carol, what's BlackRock? Most people don't even know what it is, they think it's a dark thing on the ground.
BlackRock is one of the biggest and most powerful money managers in the world. In fact, they actually may be the largest. They have at this point $9 trillion in assets under management. Sometimes those numbers seem really crazy, hard to put them in context, but the entire GDP of Canada is about $2 trillion. So they have, 4.5 times the size of the GDP of Canada in terms of assets under management. And they are very well connected. If you remember last year, the Treasury and the Fed wanted some assistance in terms of buying certain kinds of securities in the market. And so who did they turn to? They turned to their friends at BlackRock. And the pretty powerful set of money managers that, as you said, you may have never heard of.
Okay, Carol, I don't want to make it weird here, but $9 trillion, that sounds like a company that is more powerful than several governments.
Yeah, it's interesting as we have these discussions about, what needs to be broken up and who needs to have their power structure looked at. Somehow, BlackRock has completely stayed out of the conversation, and they, with that level of assets under management, obviously have a lot of influence and have a lot of access to a lot of powerful people, as well as a lot of different kinds of assets and investment opportunity.
Okay, Carol, they're calling on investors to lift allocations to China's markets. Now, they didn't cover allocations to China's markets at my community college. Could you explain to everybody exactly what that means in some form of English?
Yeah, so I've actually been doing a lot of looking into this. They had a thesis that came out at the beginning of the year, and this is their wording, not mine, but they're calling for a U.S.-China bipolar world order. And they don't mean bipolar the way that some of our politicians are bipolar. They mean it in two big companies or two big countries taking charge of the world together, which us as Americans who think we're the only ones in charge of the world might find a little bit distasteful. So that was kind of the thesis that came out in the beginning of the year. And now their strategy head, as of I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, is recommending increasing your exposure if you're an investor, and saying that this is the pattern that they're going to follow to China. Now, I will say the timing on it is very suspicious, because they also recently got approval from the Chinese government, which, if you don't remember the name of the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, they got permission from them to sell mutual funds in the China market. So, I'm not sure if there's a chicken and egg situation, or if this is just purely coincidence. I'm just going to present the information. You can all try your own conclusions, but these things are happening in tandem with each other.
Okay, as far as big companies go, how are they handling China? Are they all in on China? Are they out on us? Are they in on both? How are they handling China?
So if you read their different investor briefs, they're basically saying they still see strength in the United States, but they think the growth opportunity is coming out of China, and so that you really should increase your exposure to China. And again, this is not my investment advice. I'm just repeating back to you with some of the things that came out of the BlackRock report said, based on the way that I internalized them. It's interesting because there are a lot of issues in China. We saw recent news about sort of a slowdown that's happening in their economy. We know that they have been punished, at least by our legislators in the financial community here, when they have been listing on U.S. Exchanges, many of the companies, because several of them have been fraudulent and have had to have their listings pulled, and so there's more strict reporting requirements going on. And we really don't have a good sense of the reality of a lot of the numbers out of China, as well as the fact that they have a rapidly aging population and a big imbalance that's coming in terms of their economy from the number of people who need to be supported, and then the outgrowth of their one-child policy that's leaving a lot of males without mates and the ability to have children. So they have a big demographic issue that's going to impact them economically. So I find it very strange that now China is being held up as this new kind of powerful growth, arena, separate from the emerging markets, which I agree they have already emerged. But this thesis, I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around how that foots with the other data that we're seeing out of China.
Is their economy prosperous because it's mostly male?
No, there's no way to make them sandwiches, Jesse. Obviously not. No, it's mostly prosperous because of the United States. And this is the really crazy thing, as we're sitting here in a time when we're fighting these wars to supposedly spread democracy and capitalism and whatnot. There has been no entity that has done more to help the spread of communism than the United States. Back in the Bill Clinton era, we're the ones who basically normalized trade relations with them and walked them into the World Trade Organization. And that's where we've seen the last few decades, or a couple of decades, of explosive growth that has completely transformed their economy. Now we have our companies, big companies kowtowing to the opportunity. Our big financiers want to open up mutual funds to continue to help them prosper. I mean, why are we doing this to a country that has the word communist in its party title? Like, I just don't understand why we keep doing the same things over and over again and doing it at our detriment.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.